Hi students, and welcome to today's live Ielts class. My name is Adrian and I'm streaming to you from beautiful Victoria here on the west coast of Canada, and a very happy Canada Day today. Is Canada's birthday, or the Confederation of Canada. In this class, everyone, we are looking at an Ielts reading section, looking to start reading and finishing reading with a band 9. Welcome to lots of students and members. Hi Pawan, hi Deepak, good to have our member support. I see that we have a new member joining in at the start of the class. Jathin Nagasai, good to have you on board. Welcome. Imad, Nisa, Kailash, Money, and Hikmatillo. Nice to see many students ready to learn. That's fantastic. This lesson is brought to you by aehelp.com. This is academicenglishhelp.com. It is our web portal for academic IELTS students, and you can click this big red button to join our premium package. It's a one-time payment for lifetime access. We are a British Council IELTS test registration center and certified agents. We are world leaders when it comes to preparation for the IELTS exam. This is our general IELTS website here. We separate the academic and the general clearly with two websites. It makes sense. This is gieltshelp.com. Click that big red button to join us there. Again, one-time payment for lifetime access, so well worth it. Aerodynamic, welcome to our group of members. Happy to have you on board. All right, students. So if you have questions, just contact me by sending me an email, adrian@aehelp.com, and we're pretty good at getting back to all of the people contacting us within 24 hours. Imad, thank you for your kind words. Hello, Kush, Javia. Good to see all those emojis. Eugen. All right. So reading right now. Tomorrow we'll have task 2 and task 1 writing, and then we'll have Q&A and speaking on Saturday. Let's take a look at today's reading. It's one of the more difficult reading passages. And, we sometimes get these questions like, is reading really that difficult on the IELTS exam? Yeah, especially passage 3 can be quite challenging on both the academic and the general version of the tests. General IELTS reading passage 3 and academic reading passage 3 are quite similar. They're looking for those band 8, band 9 level students who are really good at reading in English and also quick thinkers, so able to understand detailed information, and also, very importantly, able to understand information from context. Does everybody know what that means? So understanding information from context? What do I mean by that? So when I say understanding information from context, what does that mean? What do you think? So when you hear somebody say this, can you understand information from context? What do you think they're referring to? Okay. Thank you for the Canadian happy birthday wishes, Sithara. Very good. Okay. Hikmatillo means to understand without necessarily knowing the meaning of certain words, right? Exactly, Hikmatillo. So it means to be able to figure out the meaning of ideas and new words without having a fundamental I should say, without having fundamental knowledge of the content or some vocabulary. And interestingly, this is the same whether you're a native or non-native English user. So it doesn't really matter if English is your native language or if it's your second language. Okay. Doesn't matter. All right. So let me show you what I mean. Okay. And again, general IELTS reading section 3 and academic definitely reading section 3 might have something like this. So here, the title of this passage is The Aesthetic Merit of Abstract Art. And when some candidates read this, like the aesthetic merit of abstract art, their first thoughts might be, okay, I'm not an art fan. I don't know much about art. Okay? And I don't know the meaning of aesthetic merit. Okay? So when you read this title, some people's first reaction might be, A, I don't know much about art. Maybe some of you don't even like it. Okay. And your second thought might be something like, I don't know the words aesthetic and merit. Okay. Well, IELTS is a thinking exam, clearly. That's why there are two versions, academic and general, okay? And you do have to think. So if you don't know much about art, that's fine. If you don't really like it, that's okay too. Your goal in the IELTS is not to start liking art, but you do have to be able to figure out information from context and from using good thinking skills. So that's what we're going to do today, looking at this reading passage. And if you don't know the words aesthetic and you don't know the word the word merit, that's okay. We'll figure it out from context. So don't panic. Learn it from context, okay? Pavan says, read the title, paraphrase it in your mind, ask the questions, what, why, how. Sure. Before that, you even want to just look at the picture that's given for you, because that can help you a lot as well, right? So take a look at this picture. Think about what abstract art might be, and think about what aesthetic merit might be, okay? Meanwhile, Dihiani says, hi, Adrian, I got my IELTS results today. Listening 8.5, reading 8.5, writing 6.5, speaking 7, overall 7.5 bands. Thank you so much. This is really because of you. Dia, it's really because of you. I helped you, but you did the work. Good for you. Send me an email. I would love to get your testimonial on our website. So you know my email probably. It's adrian@aehelp.com. Okay. All right. So when you look at this picture and you think about abstract art, what do you think abstract art means? So what is the meaning of abstract art by looking at this picture? What's your best guess? Okay. Okay, so take your best guess. You look at the picture that's provided, and what do you think abstract art actually means? So Paulo Reese says abstract means it's not tangible, visible, at first glance. Okay, what does not tangible mean, right? So all right, so I would say if I looked at this and in my mind, I would say, well, it's art that does not have a clear form or shape. It does not show a clear meaning or idea like a person or a landscape, right? So it's not a real world kind of content or context, right? Rishika says it's specific and difficult to understand the theme, so what it's about. Okay. Deepika says it's art which requires abstract thinking, but what is abstract, right? Maxime says, when you first look at this kind of picture, you would say, is this a new Windows screensaver? Yeah, Maxime, I get you. Absolutely, right? So it could be, right? It could be. So, all right. So it's art that doesn't have clear meaning, okay? It doesn't have a clear idea, okay? Obviously. Okay. So then the aesthetic merit of abstract art, it's very important to try to understand the whole title. So the aesthetic merit. So now we have abstract art, and now here we try to figure out what the author means by aesthetic merit. Okay? And we might take a guess. If we don't know it, it's fine. My guess here, if I ask myself, what does aesthetic merit mean? My answer would be something about the value. Okay? So the value of abstract art is being beautiful, is being something valuable for the person. Okay. All right. So the next step that can kind of help us to understand this information from content is by looking at the questions at the end. So when we look at the questions, hopefully we see some questions that are contained in the passage. So questions that have information or words that are in this passage. And in the first one here, we're lucky. It's which paragraph contains the following information. So this one here, which paragraph contains the following information, it's all in the passage somewhere. We don't know where, but it's somewhere in there. So it's good to read this. So let's read this. The rejection of old rules of art. Different kinds of aesthetic value. Okay, so here I'm starting to get the idea that we're going to probably read about old art rules and maybe some new art rules. Two competing arguments about the value of abstract art. So, okay, some arguments, some debate about this abstract art. Ambiguity itself provides part of the aesthetic experience, all right? The mysterious nature of abstract art. Aesthetic value is up to the viewer. Okay, fine. So I have a little bit more idea of this passage. And I also have an important piece of knowledge or information by reading this. So I discover something that's really important. When you have this kind of a question for a reading passage, which paragraph contains this information, what do you have to do to solve this question or this kind of question? Okay. Otherwise, the reading will take way too long. Okay. So when you see the question type, which paragraph contains the information. Okay. This tells you that you must do what? So if you have this kind of question, the which paragraph contains this information, what do you have to do with this paragraph to be able to solve this kind of question? All right, so Janelle says you have to read the complete passage with use of visualization. Yes, Janelle, I agree 100%. You have the right answer. Super Anuto says you have to read. Yeah, so this tells you that you must read the whole passage from start to finish. Okay, and that's what we're talking about today, is starting and finishing the passage. Maxime, you can't skim read. Okay, this kind of question would take you way too long to skim read, and I'll tell you why. Because you don't know if this is the topic of the paragraph, or if it's an explanation, or if it's an example. So you don't know where it is in the paragraph, and this first piece here could be in the last paragraph. So you have to skim read the whole passage to find one answer, and then suddenly to find the next answer you have to skim read half the passage again, and then to find the next one you have to skim read 2/3 of the passage again. It's very inefficient. It takes a lot of energy, a lot of time to do that. It is a very bad strategy to try to skim read for this type of question. Okay, it doesn't make any sense. In fact, you shouldn't use skim reading to get a band 8 or band 9. It can be useful for a couple of answers, but not for most answers. Okay, so does that make sense, everyone? So you can't really skim or scan for this. You could, but it would take you forever, and you'd still probably get some of them wrong. Okay. All right, so you have to read the whole passage, okay? All right, and then here we have some multiple choice questions. Multiple choice questions, don't worry about your choices, because you don't know which choice is correct. You don't know which choice is included in the passage, so some of this might just be useless extra information. So definitely do not concern yourself with the choices. Just look at the question before the passage and read it nice and quick. What makes abstract art different from classic art? Okay, cool. So now I know that I have abstract art versus classic art. Okay. Hikmatillo, yes, you do have enough time to read the whole passage. If you cannot read the whole passage and answer the questions in the 20 minutes, you have to improve your reading comprehension and speed. That's what you have to focus on first before you get too far into the Ielts. I don't recommend people to sit the Ielts exam before you have learned to read well enough in English to read the passage and answer the questions. It's almost impossible to get a band 6 or higher if you're not able to read the passage. Okay. All right. Think about it this way: a high school student, an average high school student in the U.S. or Canada, would read one of these passages and answer these questions at most in 15 minutes, at most in 15. Okay. All right. Next one, a common critique of abstract art is that it lacks. Okay. Number 35, why is it important to note that aesthetic merit not be solely reserved for the sublime? If some of this is unclear so far, it's okay. Don't worry about it. Okay. All right. Number 36, while realist works of art explicitly show their meaning, abstract works of art do what? Okay, so again, here we have realist works show their meaning. Abstract works, they don't show their meaning right away. That would be my first guess. Okay. All right, and then we have the famous true, false, not given questions. Again, true, false, not given questions, don't review them before the passage because they're just going to confuse you. There could be false, not given information. It's hard to know what's going on if you read those before the passage, okay? All right, so let's go back. Let's read this passage together, and then we'll answer these questions and make sense of all of this. And you'll see it's not as bad as it looks, okay? This is not a third-year university exam. This is more of a high school level, maybe first-year college level. So just take it easy, take a deep breath, and keep in mind that slow and steady wins the race, okay? All right, so this is a reading class, so make sure to read with me, okay? So read. And if you have the chance, if you're at home or somewhere where you can read aloud so you can hear yourself, okay? I'm not just reading for you. It's not a listening exam. It's reading exam today, or reading practice. So read with me. All right, here we go. Abstract art is notorious for its apparent lack of artistic skill, meaning, and value. While its harshest critics believe that abstract art is not art at all, many art connoisseurs feel that abstract art is an aesthetically pleasing expression of the human condition. This article will discuss both sides of the issue and present arguments for and against the aesthetic merit of abstract art. Okay, so here, as a reader, as an active reader, I want to stop and ask myself the question, what is this paragraph about? Okay, this is called active reading. And you have to practice this at home. Stop after each paragraph and ask and answer, what is this paragraph about? And here, when I do that with paragraph 1, the introduction, and I ask myself, what is it about? Then my answer is it's about two different views on abstract art. One which sees value, the other which denies value. Okay? So basically this introductory paragraph, it's just simply saying that some people believe abstract art is great. Some people are like, abstract art is not art at all. Okay, so, and it introduces the thesis. Okay, fine, let's just keep reading. So that's all you have to really understand from this introductory paragraph, okay? You don't have to understand every word, every idea, every sentence, all right? You can still get a very good band score without understanding every single little detail, okay? All right. So here we go. Next one. Abstract art, by definition, does not follow the rules of reality. Until the late 19th century, artists had more or less stuck to the notion of art as representation of reality. Artists such as Gainsborough or Rembrandt followed the rules of reality with regards to light, perspective, physics, and logic. Abstract artists like Jackson Pollock rejected these supposed rules of painting Instead, Pollock made his own rules, or rejected rules entirely. The aesthetic value of works such as Pollock's, that is to say, the ability for works like his to elicit pleasure when viewed, is the point at stake in this discussion. All right, what is this paragraph about? Okay, Pavan, a very simple visual summarization of the introduction. Okay, so what is paragraph 2 about? What do you think? So here you answer this question for me, okay? Summarize it. If you're not sure, that's okay. Just let me know. Okay. Baljit, the way that you focus when you're reading is by thinking critically. So by being an active reader and asking a question from yourself, like, what did I just read? What is paragraph 2 about? Okay, so Pavan says it's history. Kyber, yeah, I'm very much to schedule. Hikmatillo says the second paragraph is about the history. What do you mean, Hikmatillo? Nordir Beck says it's about the idea of Pollock. I think that's a bit specific. I think Pollock is an example here. Okay. Kyber, by asking and answering lots of questions about each paragraph, that's one of the biggest and most important ways to improve your comprehension. Okay, Paulo says classical rules not followed by abstract art. Paulo, I think you're closer. Fadhil says the definition of abstract art and different perspectives of art from many abstract artists. Manny says it's the past of abstract art. Okay. Hikmatillo says it's the history of abstract art. Harshcom says cleared Ielts with your tips and a whole bunch of hearts. That's great. It's not what the paragraph is about, though. Okay. Norderbeck says it's two ideas against each other. So obviously there's a bit of confusion here. I would say paragraph 2 is about okay, so if somebody asked me after reading this, what is this paragraph 2 about? I would say it's about the emergence of abstract art. So you're right, it is a bit about the history. I would say it with a bit more definition. So it's about the emergence of abstract art, or the creation of abstract art in the 19th or after the 19th century. And then it doesn't follow rules of reality. Okay, so it's kind of got its own rules or no rules at all. Did everybody kind of get that from this paragraph? So before the 19th century, you had classical art. You had artists like Rembrandt, and I think the other one was Gainsborough. And they followed the rules of reality, physics, light, shadow. And then suddenly after the 19th century, sometime during the 19th century, certain artists said, hey, we don't need to stick to reality. We can make our own rules or just throw the rules away. Yeah, did that, so, yeah, sorry, slide that over. Thank you, Deepika. Yeah, a little bit. Okay, everybody kind of get that from this? Okay, all right. So that's what you want to do. If you can't get it, so one of the ways to practice active reading, okay, so a great way to improve your active reading skills is with partners. Discuss what each paragraph is about until you clearly agree. Okay. So if you have study groups for Ielts, by the way, we are creating study groups for Ielts. So we'll share that with you shortly in the week using Discord. So a great way to improve your active reading skills is with partners. So read the same passage separately and then discuss each paragraph as you finish reading each paragraph. And until you have the exact same idea of what the paragraph is about, you should keep reading and you should keep talking about it. Discuss the vocabulary, discuss the concepts, the topic, the explanation, the examples, until you have the same idea. Okay? All right? Okay, so again, Kyber, we will be, or actually not will be, we are creating a study group using Discord, and we will share the link for that soon. It will be for members first, and once we had a chance to test it with our members, we'll include it for our subscribers as well. Okay, but for now, let's keep going with this passage, and let's continue to look at each paragraph and then look at the main idea. We're going to go a little bit smoother, faster now, just so we can get to the questions. Here we go. On one hand, some critics feel that abstract art is facile, silly, and indulgent. It is on their account a perfect example of the kind of art snobbery that the outside world finds so distasteful. Looking at a canvas covered in blue paint, we are meant to see something. Perhaps jealousy, perhaps the depth of human emotion, perhaps the bleakness of the human condition, but for many people, they merely see a blue rectangle. It is not mere lack of imagination, however, that gives viewers the impression that the artwork lacks aesthetic merit. Many critics who have a keen eye for good art feel that many works of abstract art lack aesthetic merit. A common argument against these artworks is that they lack skill. Artworks by Rembrandt and Gainsborough are unambiguously works of profound skill. These artists committed their lifetimes to their craft, and it shows in the virtuosity of their works. Okay, what is this paragraph about? Much faster this time. It is about arguments against abstract art. It does not have skill and meaning. It is not art. Okay, that's what C is about. Let's go to D. Again, this is reading practice, so read with me. And I promise you, once you practice this, you will become very efficient at active reading. So D, it is important to note, however, that aesthetic merit must not be solely reserved for the sublime. In comparing Rembrandt to an abstract artist such as Pollock, one must realize there are many kinds of aesthetic merit. For example, there is the aesthetic merit in a sunset, in a beautiful sculpture, in a symphony, or even in a well-composed meal. So if aesthetic merit is represented in manifold ways, it is possible that abstract art satisfies at least one of those criteria. Many critics say yes. Okay, so what is paragraph D about? Many types of beautiful art, food, sculpture, and so on. Abstract art might have value. Okay, so it's supporting the idea of abstract art. It's saying, hey, there's many kinds of beautiful, such as food or sculpture, sunset. So why not abstract art? Okay, E. The value of abstract art lies for some critics in its mystery. Whereas realist artworks simply show and tell their meaning, the meaning of abstract works is hidden behind a veil of ambiguity. Perhaps the artist has an intended meaning. Perhaps the artist does not. Additionally, the meaning for one person may be different than the meaning for another person. The key is that the painting does have meaning. But is meaning the same as the aesthetic merit? Arguably not. Words have meanings, for example, but lack aesthetic merit. However, one might say for a painting or other artwork to have meaning is precisely for it to have aesthetic merit. Okay, so what is paragraph E about? Paragraph E is about abstract art being beautiful. Just a second here. Gotta plug myself in. Give you a second to think about the meaning of abstract art here, or what meaning has to do with it. So abstract art being beautiful because it does or does not have meaning. Meaning is meaning needed for beauty. Okay, so the paragraph is trying to answer that question. Okay, let's keep going here. So again, you have to learn to do this nice and quick and smooth. So F, perhaps the real answer to the debate is that whether an object has aesthetic merit or not is up to the viewer. An object can have aesthetic merit for one person, but lack it for another person. So in this sense, abstract art is neither meritorious nor the opposite. Instead, it is whatever the viewer thinks it is. On this account, if a person finds an abstract work of art aesthetically pleasing, then that artwork is aesthetically pleasing for him or her. If not, then it is not. Very easy, this one. Paragraph F, beauty. This is an expression in English. I'll teach it to you now. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Everybody heard this expression before? Okay, this is an actual expression used in English, and I'm sure there are similar expressions in other languages. So beauty is in the eye of the beholder. It means beautiful depends on each person's perspective. Okay. All right, Ranjit says, hi, sir, I want to join your classes. Ranjit, you can become a member of our YouTube channel by clicking the join button, and you can also join our premium IELTS classes on our websites at aehelp.com and gieltshelp.com. If you're looking for our academic classes, aehelp.com. If you're looking for general IELTS, it's gieltshelp.com. Okay. Kyber's saying, what is the minimum percentage to understand paragraphs in IELTS reading? Kyber, I would say that importantly, you want to understand at least 60 to 70% of the passage. Okay. Daniel, it's not necessarily 80 plus. If you can understand 60 to 70% and you're using good visualization, good active reading skills, good critical thinking, you should still get a very good mark. Okay. All right. So here we go. Last paragraph, I believe. Yeah. This answer, however, will not satisfy some readers who desire a clear answer to the debate in question. For such readers, it is important to point out that ambiguity is inherent in all art. In fact, ambiguity is part of the aesthetic experience itself. So the fact that there is no clear answer forthcoming to the aesthetic merit of abstract art is not surprising. It is the nature of art to lack crystal clarity in order to invite interpretation and meditation, which are critical parts of the very aesthetic experience in question. Okay, so G is a conclusion, obviously. What is it about? Art is not supposed to be crystal clear. it is meant to elicit discourse and discussion. Okay, so that's what it's saying. It's saying, hey, look, the goal of art isn't to have a perfectly clear picture of a human being and then say, hey, that looks really good. It's a perfectly good picture of a human, but it has to be something that creates emotion, creates discussion. Okay, now that we have that, we can answer these questions much, much faster and with much greater accuracy. So going back to the questions, which paragraph contains the following information? Number 27, the rejection of old rules of art. Okay, that was the one with Gainsborough and Pollock. I remember that was near the very beginning. Anybody remember which paragraph that was? Gathfun. No, you do not have to know the meaning of all words. Okay, that's how we started this lesson, explaining that you have to understand from context. Maxime says that was B. Bakrat, Manika, and everybody says that was B. Yeah, it's not too bad. Again, we had that, right? So here we had, what is paragraph 2 about? The emergence of abstract art after the 19th century, art that does not follow the rules of reality. That was paragraph 2, or paragraph B. The rejection of old art rules, or the old rules of art. B, yes. Number 28, different kinds of aesthetic value. So different types of beauty. So there was the sunset, the food, I remember. That was kind of somewhere in the middle. Ahmed, Shafan, if you can't see the screen clearly, adjust your YouTube settings. Change it to 720p. Okay? So Konica says B as well. I'm not sure. I remember it was somewhere in the middle. Buckrat says maybe D. Yeah, it was kind of somewhere in the middle. So if I have to look, this is where I can skim, but I can now skim precisely because I know that this information is somewhere in the middle. So why not start with D? I can skim for it. I'm flying through here. Many kinds of aesthetic merit. For example, sunset, sculpture, symphony, and a meal. So it is D. Very good. All right. See, it's not so bad. It's not terrible once you go through the proper steps of active reading. Okay, so different kinds of aesthetic value. Yeah, it's D. Okay. Two competing arguments about the value of abstract art. So it's two different ways of looking at art. You might be able to even guess this as long as you are good at essay writing and you know how to structure an essay, because this is a kind of essay. So number 29 is going to be the introduction. Some people think art is beautiful. Some people think abstract art is art, it's beautiful. Other people think it's not art, it's just garbage. This is the introduction. This is how you would introduce this topic, the value of abstract art, competing arguments about abstract art. That's clearly the introduction. Does everybody get that? Like, this is the type of question after you read the passage you shouldn't have to think about, you shouldn't have to search for. You should realize that, oh, that's just introducing this whole passage. Okay? Sorry, if you couldn't get that, you should really kind of just stop and rethink what's going on when you read that passage, okay? Number 30, ambiguity itself provides part of the aesthetic experience. Again, I think not too bad, this one. It's fairly easy. So this was the introduction. This was what? Yeah, Konica Roy says that was the last paragraph because that was what, Konica? Your thinking is very clear and clever. Konica, what was it? It was the last paragraph. Simply put, it was the conclusion, right? So, G. So it was the introduction followed by the conclusion. Now here, if you're just skimming and scanning, you would have a lot of difficulty. But if you know what you're doing, you've read the passage, that's going to be quite simple, right? Yeah, Rohi says that's the conclusion. The conclusion basically says art is beautiful because it's not always absolutely clear and we can talk about it. Okay, number 31, the mysterious nature of abstract art. Now, again, when you're practicing this at home, then you want to look at your notes. You want to look at what you answered for each paragraph. The mysterious nature of abstract art, I remember, is somewhere between the middle and the end. Okay? And if I have to search, I will search for the word mysterious. Okay, but because I read the passage, I know that it's somewhere in the middle or the end. Students, I know some students are asking, like, why is the reading this hard? Okay, well, here's the reality. When you get into college or when you get into university, your reading passages in college and university will be this hard or harder. So if you cannot do well on this kind of passage and questions on the Ielts, you are going to have a lot of difficulties in your college and university classes or in your workplace. Okay? All right? So that's why Ielts is like this, for those of you who are asking. Okay, so I'm going to look for mysterious. And I remember that, hey, look at that. The value of abstract art lies for some critics in its mystery. Okay? Whereas realist artworks simply show and tell their meaning, the meaning of abstract artworks is hidden behind a veil of ambiguity. So hidden ambiguity. There it is. It's E. It's not that bad, right? Okay. Now, again, remember, you can't search like that for every answer. So you'll find it for some, but not for others. Okay. And then number 32, aesthetic value is up to the viewer. So it's up to the person viewing. Again, I have my, maybe I should ask you. I gave you an expression for this one. Aesthetic value is up to the viewer. What was the expression in English? Did anybody learn it or catch it? So I said that there's a very common expression that's used in English. It probably exists in most other languages as well. What was that? Anybody remember that? What was it? What was that? Maxime says, art is in the eye of the beholder. Very close, Maxime. Not art, but beauty. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Yeah, very good, Arun. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Very good. Nice. A few of you caught that and remember it. Very good. Excellent. Huang Nguyen says, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Indeed, right? So which paragraph had that concept, that beauty is in the eye of the beholder? Well, it was paragraph F. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So paragraph F it is. Okay. Those are your correct answers. B, D, A, G, E, and F. All right. So that's how you do it, ladies and gentlemen. Let's look at some multiple choice. And you'll see that once you get these correct, multiple choice are not too bad. All right, so what makes abstract art different from classic art? Give your own answers. Okay. Classic art follows rules, shows meaning, requires skill. Okay, so those are the ones that I remember reading about. Let's see what we have here. It is made after the late 19th century. Maybe it does not follow classical art rules. Okay, that looks really good. It follows a pattern of logic. I don't remember reading that. Okay. It elicits pleasure from the viewer. Yeah, definitely this one looks like the best answer. So some of these look like they might be answers, but do remember that in the Ielts, you're looking for the best answer. Okay, not just necessarily one that seems correct. So you're looking for the best answer. The best answer here is B. It does not follow classic art rules. Why? Because here I said classic art follows rules. Obviously, the opposite is that it does not follow art rules. So why would I dispute my own thinking? I'm not going to dispute my own thinking. B is the best answer. Okay? Everybody sees that, right? So the strategy for multiple choice questions is always to think about the answer first on your own and then match. Okay? The biggest mistake that many students make in multiple choice tests is they look at the answers hoping that one of those answers is going to like, whoo, jump off the page and be like, hey, I'm the right answer. Look at me. It's because I do a little funky dance. None of the other answers do these little dances like me. I'm the right one. That's just, that's abstract. That's abstract art. Maybe somebody can draw a cool picture that shows multiple choice answers dancing the correct ones. But anyway, that's not the way it works, okay? So multiple choice, you have to think about the answer on your own and then match the answer that's closest to what you're thinking. If none of them match, you have to be really careful because something is not right. Okay, you missed something in the information, all right? Okay, so careful. All right, I'm glad I got a chuckle out of Pavan, okay? All right. Okay, so number 34. A common critique of abstract art is that it lacks skill. I remember that very clearly. So they're like, well, abstract art, you know, everybody can just draw a blue box. Don't need to be skillful. Imagination, the classic laws of physics, the bleakness of the human condition. Oh, there it is. Skill, perfect match. I do not have to skim read or scan for that. Okay, makes sense, hopefully. All right. 35. Why is it important to note that aesthetic merit not be solely reserved for the sublime? Okay. Well, because there's different kinds of beauty. Different types of beauty. So, again, this is that paragraph about statues and meals and a beautiful sunset. So there's different kinds of beauty. It's not just one type. It's not just like, oh, hey, look, there's a beautiful painting. Okay. Hey, there's more than one kind of aesthetic merit. That looks good right away. But let me look at the other questions to make sure one of them isn't better. So, aesthetic merit is reserved for experts? No. There's aesthetic merit in a sunset. While it's true, it's only one example. Abstract art may have additional meanings. That's just strange. Okay, so closest match. You're always looking for the closest match. I said there's there are different types of beauty. There's more than one kind of aesthetic merit. A is clearly the best answer. Okay. All right. Students, I don't have time for the true, false, not given, and I don't want to rush There is a very good kind of strategy for this. It's the if this then that computer logic. You have to first figure out whether it's given or not given, and then you need to figure out whether it's false or true. But I'm not going to rush through these strategies today. You can see a video on our YouTube channel. On the YouTube channel, there's a video, I believe we just called it True, False, Not Given Strategies for Reading. So check for that video. You can, of course, find all of those strategies on our websites as well. So try that question on your own. You can send me your answers. I'll show you my email. And then I'll send you back an answer key, and I'll even send you a nice little discount code for our premium package. So look at those true, false, not given questions. The video is being recorded, so you'll see it on the channel. And then you can send your answers to adrian@aehelp.com. I'll give you the answer key, and then I'll give you a discount, okay? All right. You are very welcome, Eugene. Have a great rest of your day. Enjoy your day, everyone. And again, here are the true, false, not given questions. Think about the answers. And tomorrow I will be back with task 1 and task 2 writing at the same time and a little bit earlier. Until then, visit us at aehelp.com for academic IELTS and gieltshelp.com for general IELTS. Thank you so much, students. I know that was a challenging reading passage today, but I think many of you did a really great job. So keep it up, and hopefully I'll catch you all tomorrow. I'm Adrian, signing out from Victoria here on the west coast of Canada. Much love to all of you wherever you are in this beautiful world. Bye for now.